everybody. I'm Sarah Wood, and I am so excited and honored to be here today with Amanda Walker. And it's so funny, Amanda, as I was driving here, I was thinking to myself, we have known each other for almost 10 years, or maybe more. It could possibly be more than that. So
more.
It's kind of cool to sit down and chat about this because we've gone through seasons of kind of growing up through mezzanine and all that. And now here we sit. So, Amanda, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Amanda Walker. I have been going to East Coast in various stages. I went to mezzanine first. I snuck in when I was 17.
So did Jessica.
I was bad.
Don't
Snuck
tell her
in.
I said that.
Don't sneak in, kids. I'm just kidding. No, I started when I was 17 and really got plugged in and started serving once I was 18, the appropriate age. Got plugged into the worship team and eventually kind of migrated over to East Coast as a whole. And then I've been on staff now as a worship leader for Mezzanine and for the Avenue for 6 years.
Wow, that is so great. 6 years already.
6 years.
That's so
Yep.
great.
As of this January. Yeah.
Cool. So right now, we have just finished up our Flourish conference, which was incredible.
Yes.
And now we are diving into our Flourish groups, and they're going on right now. And so we learned something at that conference is that we're all kind of going through a season of growth, no matter what season you're in, no matter what stage you're in. And we really wanted to chat with you because your story just has such value and such inspiration because you have recently gone through a huge season of transition and growth.
Yes.
You have a new addition to your family.
I do.
So we want to hear a little bit about your new addition, of course, and also what brought you to that decision that God put on your heart.
Right. So, new addition. Let me clarify. I am single and I did not have a baby. I am a foster mom to an incredible little girl. We'll call her Baby A for legal reasons and all of that. I got her when she was 12 days old, and she is now 13 months old, which so I've been doing it for about a year, just over a year. And really the heart and desire for it sprung up seemingly out of nowhere. I would say back in 2015, the end of the year, beginning of 2016-ish time frame. I'm hoping I'm getting that right. It was whenever the Olympics were on with Simone Biles.
Okay. That was about 4 years ago then. Yeah. So I think you're right.
So it was, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I believe? Yeah, 2 years
maybe
ago.
2 years
2
ago.
years, yeah, because we're in the winter ones right now. So Summer Olympics, yeah. Summer Olympics 2 years ago. And I kept hearing her story about how her grandparents adopted her. And she was doing a radio spot for, I want to say it was a mattress company. I'm not 100% sure. And literally, it felt like every time I got in my car, I kept hearing this commercial about not everybody, and I want to say, if I butcher the tagline, Simone, I'm sorry, but it was something along the lines of not everybody can be a foster parent, but everybody can help a foster child. And this company, along with Simone Biles, was working to collect donations for clothes and school supplies and just different things like that for foster kids in general. And so it was, if you went to any one of those mattress companies, you could bring your donation. And I want to say you got like a little bit of a discount if you bought a mattress, stuff like that. Anyway, I said in my heart, and over, every time I would hear it, I was like, oh, I need to do that. I would love to support that. I would love to give to these kids who seemingly have nothing. They're in this kind of perpetual state of limbo. I would love to do that. But then I kept forgetting. And it was literally every time I got in my car, I felt like this commercial would come on and I go, oh yeah, I remember, oh man, I can't believe I forgot that. Yes, I need to do that. I need to do that. And then life would happen, ministry happened, living my life, and I just would forget. And so I actually made a new friend through the worship team here at the church, and she was what they call a PI, which is the person who does investigations into families that have had reports on them for issues with their kids, right? So they send somebody out, whether it was whatever the reason is, they send somebody out. She was the person that would have to go out and do this investigation and then eventually remove a child from the home. And we were just chatting. We were new friends. I was looking into learning more about what she was doing because it, again, was ringing this kind of foster care bell. Yeah. And she was telling me about it. And I finally just asked her one day, I text messaged her out of the blue. And I said, can you be a foster parent and be single?
Wow.
And she said, 100%. And I said, so it's not a you have to be married thing? And she said, nope. And I said, how can I find out more information? And so she pointed me in the direction of going to just an informative class. And so I went and I did that. And I literally cried through the whole class. Now, people who know me may find that shocking. I do not cry Very,
Right.
very seldomly do I cry. Usually someone has to die.
Yeah.
And then I cry. Or it's like a severe move of God. Like those are the two
Right.
times. Really, I'm pretty flat emotionally from a crying tears perspective.
Right.
And so I'm literally sitting in this class. I made my mom come with me because I was just so nervous about it. And my friend Rebecca actually came as well. And so we're in this class together and I'm just crying. They show us this video of this girl's story of what foster care looked like for her and the trauma that these kids go through, the severity of their life at this point.
Instability.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's crazy. Literally, somebody that you don't know comes in and yanks you out of your home. Whether that environment was good, bad, or otherwise, that was your home, that was your family, that was what you knew. And so someone is coming in and taking you out for your safety, for your benefit, for hopefully your good in the long run. But literally, these kids are having their lives disrupted.
Right.
And anyway, so I'm just watching this video about this girl and her story, and I'm bawling my eyes out, and I'm going, man, Lord, I feel like this is something that you're wanting me to do, but this is so scary because this is not the plan that I had for my life. And this is not the plan that I thought you had for my life. So this is throwing me for a huge loop here. It's super confusing, but I'm so moved by it that it has to be you. And so I said to myself and to my mom, I said, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep moving forward in the process. And I'll know it's not the Lord if the process denies me. Because it's not this thing where just anybody can become a foster parent. You have to go through training. You have to get approved. You have to pass background checks. You have to, the FBI, fingerprinting.
It's
like you do this.
thorough.
It's very thorough.
Which is great, but yes.
And it's different in every state. In our state and in our county, I went through a 9-week training class. I had to get my home studied in depth. And there's literally at every turn opportunities for them to look at you and say, no, you're not suitable for doing this, or you need to fix these things. That may take you 2 years. Come back then and try again then. So literally I just said, well, if they deny me, then I'll know it's not the Lord. He'll have shut the door. Wow. So they didn't deny me. They fast-tracked me instead. Wow. So, which was pretty interesting. I became a foster parent, fully licensed and ready to go in, I want to say 4 months total. I started everything that you have to do. Normally people go through the 9-week class and then they start taking care of their home stuff, getting their homes in order, submitting their financial information because you have to be able to support a child financially as well, or they won't approve you. So yeah, anyway, so I went through all of that. They fast-tracked me and I became a licensed foster parent in this area, Brevard County, Florida, in December of 2016. And then I got my first child, which was not baby A. It was a different baby, placed with me in February. And then a week later, after that child left, I got baby A placed in my house.
That's great. What a story. So I want to go back because you had said that you said to the Lord, you said, okay, God, I'm going to give this to you. And if the door shuts, then I know that it's not you. And that is, I think, a complete example of trusting God and just saying, I don't know if this is the right path, but I'm going to try it, give it all to you. And then I know that if something closes, that this is not for me, which is awesome. And sometimes, yes, we have to overcome things, but this is something where your hands are definitely tied if they deny you, for sure. So it's good to, I love that you saw that insight of just trusting God through it.
It was literally a thing where this path I was looking at walking down was so different than the path that I had thought the Lord had laid for me. My whole life growing up, very traditional Christian life, and just thinking, okay, you're going to go to school, you're going to go to college, you're going to get married, then you're going to have a family. I have done the school, the college thing. I have not gotten married, and I don't have a family. And so literally doing this was kind of taking God's plan that I thought was God's plan out of order and out of like flipping the script on it, so to speak. And there was a little bit of fear in that because it was, oh man, am I somehow doing the wrong thing by not adhering to what I thought you had said? But like I said earlier, I just felt it was so weighty, the weight of what I felt like the Lord was asking me to do, which was so different than I'd ever been asked to do before, that I just couldn't not. And that's what I kept telling people. I just couldn't not try. I couldn't not try. I had to try. And if they said no, they said no. But I just had to try. It was too weighty. These are people. These are people that we're talking about. So I couldn't not do it.
That's awesome. I love that. And I feel like in this season, I just keep hearing the word stretch. Like, I feel like God really stretched you in this season because you kind of had that formula down. Like, yep,
Yes.
I'm going to go to college, get married, have 2.5 kids, move to the suburbs, all is well, and just ride out my life. But I love that God really stretched not only your life and your season and your and his plans for you, but he really stretched your thinking during that time. So I have to ask you a question. This is tough, so I know take some time to stew it over.
Sure.
But what do you feel like are some insights you've gotten into who God is through this process of stretching? He doesn't have it all. He doesn't let you all know it all right off the bat.
Right.
So what insights do you have on God right now?
So I will say that probably the biggest one is in doing foster care, you get to meet the God of the brokenhearted. There is,
so
I'm going to try not to cry. Oh gosh.
Yeah. We have tissue somewhere, right?
Somewhere. I threw them on the ground because I didn't think I'd need them. Literally, you meet these families that their lives have been torn apart.
Yeah.
And, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I understand. It's definitely a calling that you have answered. So it's emotional and close to your heart.
Yeah. So these kids, like I said before, their whole world gets disrupted. If they're school age, they don't get to go to the same school anymore necessarily. They don't get to see their extended relatives anymore. They don't get to see their friends anymore. Now they are working really hard to try to create normalcy for these kids, but large and in part, your whole world gets disrupted.
Right.
And there's so much room for animosity between the parents of these children and the foster family who's stepping in to say, hey, I'm going to try to steward your child's life and steward their story for you in your place, on your behalf, the way that you would do it to the 100th degree. Like if you could do everything right, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. If I could do every single thing for this child, that this child has the best that they can possibly have in my care until they can go back to you. Because foster care is not always supposed to be something where parents don't ever get their kids back. It's supposed to be a reunification of the family once the family has gotten the help that it needs to become whole again.
Right.
And so you literally meet these people who are just so broken. They're broken because of maybe they've got addiction, or maybe they've got some criminal issues that have come up, or maybe they've got just health issues. Sometimes kids get taken because their mom is in the hospital, or the dad, and there is no dad, or the dad has to go in the hospital and there is no mom and there's no family nearby. And so there's people who are super incredible parents, but just life circumstances has dictated that they can't be with their kids right now. And so, you read in the scripture talking about that he's close to the brokenhearted, he's near to the brokenhearted, and you get to see God in that way. Huge in foster care. Huge. In my case in particular, baby A, my little one, she doesn't even know her biological family.
Yeah, she's little.
She was 12. Months, she was 12 days old when she got placed with me, and so I am her family. And so my family is her family. My friends are her family, and so there's room for that on the backside of when she goes home. If she does get to go home, her world then gets turned upside down, and now she's getting placed with her biological family, but essentially strangers. And so there's brokenness on our side, as the foster family who gives them back after long periods of time of taking care of them. And so you just really get to see God being near to those who are brokenhearted, and him being strength when you're weak, and him being peace when things seem chaotic, because if you're a parent, you understand the chaos of parenting. In my instance, I'm doing it by myself. I do have a great support system, but I don't have a spouse that I can say, hey, your turn, honey. You get up and go change the diaper, or you go do the bottle, or you go do the whatever. I don't have that. So it's all me. And so I have to lean super heavily on the Lord when I'm tired, and when I'm wore out, and when I'm frustrated, and when things are busy, life's busy. And so the Lord just is super strong with his strength, and with his peace, and with his comfort, I would say, are the biggest three. And you get to see him show through as father to these kids. That's good. He is Father God, we say that, but you get to actually see how that works. And the guys that have come into my life just in friend group ways that get to interact with baby A, and the way that she gets to see the father in that capacity, even though there's not one in the house right now. I'm hoping one day, hope is still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the biggest things.
I love that because I love what you just said there about, yes, you are a single mom. You're a single mom right now. So you're doing this all by yourself, but you also aren't discouraged by that. And I love that you're pulling that out. You're pulling that treasure out and saying, I know that we don't have a dad figure, but Father God is the ultimate father figure.
Yes.
And I am raising baby A with that knowledge that she is loved by her daddy God and that there are men around her to show her a strong male figure.
Yes.
So she is lacking for nothing.
Yes,
and I
amen.
think that is so good to remind ourselves even, all the time, if maybe you have a father that's not present, or maybe your kiddos don't have a father that's present, that Father God is our father. And there are great men at this church, pastors and our staff, and just a lot of the men serving that are great leaders to help pour into those babies. So that is awesome. That is so good. So during this season, you have grown in knowing God is equipping you, that he's strengthening you to go to be a mommy to this little girl. And so my question is that you've grown so much in this season, but that means that you've had to cut back on some things as well, I'm sure, because when we bring into a growth season, we also have to cut back so that we can flourish to our best potential. And so what would you say you've had to cut back on in this new season of motherhood to be able to flourish in motherhood?
So I would say cutting back on, first, it was a mentality. So let me just say this part. I am in my 30s now, but as a person who's still single, I had this mentality that any second, any day could be the day. So I have to go do all the things because I don't want to miss the opportunity to meet somebody that could be my future, right? And so if it was this event through the church, or this event through another church, or this event through just going to dinner on Friday night, or even going to the gym, or wherever basically I could meet people, I didn't want to cut myself off from that because I was literally believing the Lord. There's going to be somebody that's going to come, and how am I going to meet them if I'm stuck in my house?
Yes.
I don't want to miss them. So I have to go do all the things. And so I probably spent my 20s, the far end of my 20s, and just right around when I turned 30, just very focused on doing all the things because I didn't want to miss anything. So this kind of fear of missing out, and missing out not on what was going on in like the nitty gritty, but like fear of missing out on my person. Like, I don't want to miss it. What if I was supposed to meet them at Starbucks and I didn't go? I should have gone, like those kind of thoughts, which sounds a little crazy when I'm hearing myself say them, but that was literally how I was living, the mentality that I had because I was older and single. And so I'm going, I got to meet him somewhere. Ain't nobody at church. You know what I mean? I mean, not yet, not yet, but I have to meet him somewhere. So I have to go and be out and do all of the things. I can't miss anything.
Right.
And so then, also though, there was this other thing that was saying, I'm so tired of living for myself, that started coming and creeping in, which had to be the Lord, because becoming a parent is probably one of the most selfless things you could ever do. In my opinion, your whole world literally becomes about this other human that you have to keep alive and like thriving and things like that. Yeah. So the stuff about you kind of goes to the back burner. And so I think that in a way, the Lord helped me before I even knew that I was going to become a foster parent, helped me shift my focus. And so it was more on letting go of what I might miss or what I might not get to do or might not get to be a part of, and focusing more on others. And it kind of shifted my intention. So that happened before I became a foster parent. And so then when I actually, in reality, someone handed me a baby, it was like, okay. So I've been saying and I've been thinking, it's not about me anymore. And I would even tell my friends, I'm so tired of making decisions. Can someone else make a decision of where we go to eat? Gosh, like someone else choose. Like, I'm just so tired of being the one. Don't ask me. Well, but that comes back. Like, I have to make all these decisions for her. And so it was just interesting, though, the progression that it went through. It was like all about me and fear of missing out, to being, I don't want it to be about me anymore. I want it to be about somebody else, to, okay, now because it is about somebody else, I have to make it about me again a little bit and make all these decisions, and but with her in mind. And so I would say cutting back on in reality now, I don't go out as often. I still get to go out, but not as often.
Yeah.
I'm not at every single function that we have at the church. I'm not at every single thing that all my friends do. I'm not out every single weekend. I still get to do things. I still get to have fun. I still go to the gym. I still go to Starbucks. There are things I still do, but I do them in much more moderation. And it's not from the spirit of, if I don't go, I'm going to somehow miss it.
Out of fear.
Yeah, there's no more fear in it, really. It's just, this is my life. This is what the Lord has called me to. This is the season that I am in, and I'm going to embrace it. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss the moments that matter right now with baby A and with my family, because I'm looking to the future for something that may or may not happen. So really, it's just focusing and being intentional and letting go of the fear of missing out and letting go of having to be busy and doing all of the things.
Right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, I love that. And I have to share with this because a lot of people, the fear of missing out, people call it FOMO. I don't know if you've heard that, right?
Yes.
You've heard FOMO, right?
FOMO.
Well, Allie Worthington, she was our guest speaker last year at the Passion Conference, and she actually wrote a blog, and it's actually part of her new book. And she shares how the fear of missing out, that we need to shift that to the joy of missing out and to focus on, okay, I don't maybe get to go to every single event, but I do get to spend time at home resting and snuggling my baby, and I'm going to be intentional in that moment. So sometimes that cutting back and so that you can flourish at home. So baby A is able to say, she stayed home with me tonight. I can snuggle. So it's just great. It's so inspiring. And Amanda, really quick before we go, I know that it's hard to kind of put it in a quick little nutshell and wrap it up with a bow, but there is a future with baby A, we hope. And so we're hoping for that right now. We're praying for that right now. And by the time this podcast comes out, a decision will be made.
Right.
So we're all praying for you, and we're believing for what we feel like God wants you to have. But you want to share a little bit about maybe how you're looking to God in this next season that's coming up, where you'll, I know it's a heavy one. I know it's a heavy one, but how God is, what are you seeing about God right now in this new season that you're approaching?
So when you go into foster care, the mentality is that it's temporary. And I had the heart set and the mindset of, I want to help as many kids as I can in this next season, which you get a license for 5 years. And so baby A is my second baby. And so I've done 2, you know what I mean? And but I had the intention of doing as many as I possibly could. And so with this next thing that's coming up, which is a court hearing to determine basically if her parents get to have the opportunity to be her parents still, their rights are in question and going to be on trial. If their rights are taken away, baby A becomes, she becomes eligible for adoption. And so that is now something that I want to do. I can't imagine my future without her in it anymore, because she has been in it since she was 12 days old. And now we're moving from this being a temporary thing to this becoming a forever thing. When you make someone part of your family, they're your family forever, even when she's 50, you know, 60, 80, 100, whatever, if I'm still living, like she will be my daughter. And so that's different. It's a different mindset than when you go into it initially knowing that it's temporary and that these are children that are going to have to go back with their biological family. It's not to say that you don't make them like your own child in that time that you do have them, because you do. You put your all into it. They are your child while they are with you, but you do it knowing that they're not going to stay with you. And so this whole thing is a huge trust thing now with the Lord, that now you're not only asking me, and I feel like it's the Lord leading me in this direction, to temporarily be her mother, but to forever be her mother, which is just large. Is the only word I can use for it, particularly because it's something that I'm choosing in a non-conventional way. It's not as if I birthed her and I chose to do that with my spouse and this was the plan we had for our family. It puts me in an interesting spot, thinking about the future when I do meet somebody and I have a little girl that is mine. What does that look like to other people? What does that look like to other members of our church when they see me with a little baby? No, I did not sin and, do all these things out of wedlock or whatever. No, I'm actually filling in the gap and being a family to someone who doesn't have one. So there's some questions that it's going to raise, I think, and some hardships that I'm seeing down the line. But I am literally having to take all of those things, submit them to the Lord, and trust Him to work out the details. I would say that's probably the biggest thing because it's all up in the air right now. In a couple of days, really, realistically, it will no longer be up in the air. But as of right now, it's super up in the air, and there's some anxiety that can come. So again, back to him being peace for me and comfort for me and strength for me. And also just, again, stilling the voice of fear.
Yeah.
Telling it to shut up.
Taking every thought captive and leaning on him for everything.
So I don't know if that is succinct enough, but I tried.
Yeah, it's perfect. No, it's perfect. Thank you so much, Amanda, again, for joining us. I know that this is a story that's very close to your heart, and it's actually close to my heart because I am also adopted as well. So it's great to hear this, and it's very encouraging to me, and we thank you so much for your time, and it was great talking to you today, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.